Hey everyone, today's video is going to be extra special because I'll be taking you for an exclusive tour inside my textbooks, and the purpose of this video is to help you better understand the most efficient way of reading your textbook, of studying, even if you're not making notes. For those of you who are new here, my name is Anmol. I'm a doctor based in India, and on this channel I talk about all the things relevant to being a doctor and a dermatologist in India that I learned along the way. So if you're looking for more such content, do not forget to subscribe. So as I was saying, today's video is about letting you in for an exclusive sneak peek inside my textbooks. The reason why I wanted to share this is because even though I highly recommend that you make notes while you're studying, there are times when making notes is simply not feasible. For example, there could be a shortage of time, or maybe you just don't prefer making notes for some reason. So if for some reason you find yourself unable to make notes, there is a more efficient and a more productive way of studying so that it's easier. When you revise the textbook, it's easier for you, and that is something that I'll try to convey through this video. Personally, during my residency, I have mostly read only two textbooks. One is Bologna and one is IADBL. I started with Bologna and I used to make notes as I read. But when I started reading IADBL, I started reading it just a couple of months prior to my final MD exams. So when I was reading IADBL, I really did not have the liberty or the time to make notes. So let's take a look inside my IADBL textbook, and in the process, I'll try to share certain things that I did which helped me increase my efficiency and productivity during revision from this textbook without having to make notes. So what are the things that you need before you start your study session? Highlighters of at least two different colors. You can use highlighters or sketch pens, whatever you prefer, but it has to be at least two different colors, 2 to 3 colors, one for heading, the other for subheadings, and the other for text, and also a pen. That's it. Okay, so this is the first volume of my IDVL textbook, and let's see what's inside. This is the chapter on history of dermatology. As you can see, I've completely skipped it. Okay, so the first thing that I want you guys to see here is how I have been very mindful when I've underlined. Okay, so this was my first reading, and I have highlighted only what I thought was extremely relevant and important, and I have not underlined anything unnecessary or anything that's not really important. So I've been very careful. Don't it becomes very difficult to revise if you have mindlessly highlighted everything in the textbook. So I used to highlight only the truly important and relevant things. So when it comes to highlighting, less is more. Second thing that I want you to see here is that, do you see how I've used separate colors? I used to use separate colors for headings, subheadings, and text. So see how I've used blue, orange, and pen for heading, subheading, and text respectively. So this method actually turned out to be here as well. So this is like the heading, the subheading, and the text. And this method turned out to be extremely rewarding while revision, because your pictorial memory is able to retain it better, and you're also able to revise faster because it's all organized in your head. I also like to number the headings and subheadings to give it a more notes format. So as you can see here, I've even numbered within the text so that I can give it more of a notes format. Again, here as well, the patterns of skin diseases in India, and I have tried to number it up as much as possible so that it's all extremely organized. So basically, I tried to make my underlining as organized and as aligned with the notes format as possible. So again, here I've only very precisely underlined the immune function of keratinocytes and also numbered the text. And for some reason, I prefer to tick mark instead of underline whenever there are too many points in the text, because it's easy to enumerate and remember. So here also, I've tried to just, whenever there are too many points, I just like to tick it. Very fine details, very small things that dramatically increased my efficiency during revision. Maybe it differs from person to person, but I felt like I should just share these small details because in the long run they've helped me immensely. I also used to add my own interpretations as I read along the text. As you can see here, there are times when the text says something in a complicated way, but you understand it and then you simplify it in your mind. So it's nice that if you write your simplified interpretation of what you've read in a short manner along the pages or at the top of the page. So whatever I understood and whatever I thought that, this is clear in my head, I used to just write it down somewhere along the border, or could be like along the page. If you think some point is missing, then you can just add it there on the side. Like I've had it here, the diseases caused by tobacco chewing. You guys must already be doing this. This is pretty basic stuff. Whenever you see a complicated, huge table, don't be scared. Try to simplify it and make a note of only the relevant things in the table. If you look at this table right here, they've given the most common dermatophytosis and the most common species across various studies. So you can see how I've just written in one line the gist of this table at the top. So just try to simplify and read only the important things, and if possible, just write it down, whatever you've understood. Again, similarly in this table also, I have tried to simplify it as much as possible. That structures have morphologies, they form patterns, and they are seen in these distributions. Again, this table, only the important stuff is highlighted, and so like see, red dots, dilated blood vessels and extravasation of RBCs. White areas, hyperkeratosis with acanthosis and dermal fibrosis. So try to just enhance the pictorial memory through these small things. Again, whatever I felt was better explained at other sources, I omitted highlighting it completely. And I used to mention it there that this has to be read from mashallah. Or, Merkel cells have to be read from notes in notebook 1. Nails have to be read with the nail chapter, because in the nail chapter they have elaborated this very nicely. So I skipped it entirely from here and read it only from there, and that I've mentioned it here as well. So Wood's lamp is to be read from the article, so I've skipped it here completely. Similarly, intradermal test in dermatology to be read from the IDEVIL handbook. Dermatoscopy, separate chapter, so I've eliminated it from here completely. Obviously, reading one topic from different sources is a waste of time. So during your first reading only, mention very clearly where you're going to revise this topic from, so that there's no confusion at the end. If there are some additional important points given in IADVL, then I used to highlight them like I've highlighted here in apocrine glands, and I used to mention that this has to be read from here as well as mashallah. To understand better which topics are to be read from which sources, I've put a very useful resource in one of the videos on my channel, so you can check that out and it will save you a lot of time. I'll add a link in the description. Also, it's nice if you've marked in your book itself whether the topic is an SAQ or an LAQ. Like I've marked here that this is an SAQ, mast cells. So, go through papers beforehand and try to mark them in your book as you go, because it helps during revision, knowing that this topic is truly important or this topic has been asked before as a question. Another thing, there are certain topics in IADVL that are given in multiple chapters. For example, dermoscopy or, biopsy. Skin biopsy is also given in, I think, 2 chapters. Botox and fillers. So what I used to do is that, for example, I see that dermoscopy is given here as well as in chapter 7. So I would quickly figure out where things are explained better and in more depth, and then read from there only and highlight there itself. So as you can see, I've skipped this part entirely and I've not read dermoscopy from here at all. I have only read from the chapter, and whatever important points I found there, if any, I would add it here only. So this is how you should compile topics at a single place, even if they are given in parts in different chapters. Similarly for Botox. Now Botox is given in chapter 103, which is anti-aging cosmetic procedures, and it's also given in chapter 105, which is your basics of injectables. So what I used to do was, I have written here that Botox is to be read at page number so and so, and I have skipped reading it from here because I felt that it's better explained over there. And so I would just go to chapter 105 and read Botox from there. Similarly for fillers. Fillers I felt were better explained in chapter 103 instead of 105. So most of the things related to fillers I've read from here. And in 105 also I found that there were some interesting things that were not mentioned in the other chapter. So what I did here was, as you can see, I have highlighted those things. I have highlighted certain important things here as well, and I have clearly mentioned. So I have clearly mentioned here in this chapter that the basic indications are to be read from the other chapters on page number so and so. Or, you know, filler materials are better explained on this page, so just refer to this page for filler materials. So this is how I think it's nice if you compile the topics at a single place, so it's easier while you revise. So whatever topics are given at multiple places, try to compile them at one place in a single chapter, or at least mention there itself. Or you can go the simple way as well, just refer to the resource that I've put on my channel where I've clearly mentioned in detail what parts are best given where. So first link in the description. So alpha hydroxy acids, I've read here that they're given better on page 586 of Wolverton. So whatever little bit I felt was important, I've underlined here, but essentially it has to be read from here. Similarly, azelaic acid is to be read from here, retinoic acid is to be read from here. So it's nice if you mention these things nicely. So these are a few subtle tips and tricks that you can try while reading from your textbook, which will help you immensely when you're revising without having to make notes. As medical students, we all know the importance of revision when it comes to medical exams. So if you too have discovered or invented certain tips and tricks that have helped you increase your efficiency and productivity while reading your textbook, please share them in the comments so that we can collectively increase the productivity of all of us while studying and revising. If you have any more questions or doubts, you can get in touch with me. I'm available on Instagram, or you can email me. All the very best. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.